Star Trek: The Next Generation was a show. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Everybody I interacted with. A show that I started watching when I was a really little kid. Can you believe it's been 30 years? Star Trek: The Next Generation first.
Star Trek: The Next Generation was my life.
I really grew up with this show.
My relationship to how I should conduct myself. It was the escape from reality. Welcome to Next Generation's First Generation, where Patrick Delmore and Sascha Schaudies take a look back into their favorite childhood show, Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is where we attempt to reconcile how we felt as children watching the show and looking back as old farts now in our late 30s, almost 40s. Social commentary and good old-fashioned shade-throwing on our favorite and least favorite episodes. Here comes Patrick and Sascha.
Welcome to the fourth episode of the third season of Next Generation's First Generation, a Star Trek watch-along podcast. We are into the good episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I don't know if we've watched a better episode than this so far, honestly. The episode is going to be Who Watches the Watchers, which is a weird episode because I'd seen the beginning of this a million times until I watched it to prep for the show. I don't think I've ever seen the end of this. But as usual, Sascha Schaudies is here with me.
Hello!
And for another return engagement is Brian.
Salutations.
Our web designer, Mr. Matt.
Hello.
And you haven't heard her voice for months, but she lives with Sascha every day. Jeff.
Hello.
And sometimes I live with her.
Yeah.
Well, this is got to be one of my favorite episodes of Trek, Pat. This is one of those, if you had to bottle up 10 episodes and put it in a time capsule, this has got to be one of the top 10 for me.
Yeah, it's good Star Trek, and it's good Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes, exactly. Good sci-fi, too. Mm-hmm. I think that this is actually one of the first episodes that I tried to, back when ripping DVDs was a thing, about 20 years ago. I was like, I gotta try this. So this was an inaugural episode for me, I guess you could say. So let's fire it up. We're going to give you the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So please get your viewing rectangle ready. And however you have that formatted, we're going to give you a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, and engage.
All right, here we go. Some good Ron Jones spooky music.
Yeah, there's an emergency. You can tell something's wrong by the minor chord music.
I feel like you're setting a really high precedent or a high standard by saying it's one of the best episodes.
Well, I just walked onto the bridge, and I was in the elevator for 5 minutes. Before then, I had a glass of milk.
You'd think that to sell those turbo lifts, they have to say you could get everywhere on the ship in less than 5 minutes.
Huh.
Yeah, well, it's a big ship.
I know. That's why the turbo lift salesman gives that pitch.
Do they go left to right as well?
Yes, they do.
They finally established that in Discovery. That they're not just up and down.
They show the lights go, whatever way it's moving.
Huh. I was thinking about the lectures.
They established that when Geordi was in there, when the Enterprise was
but you never actually saw how. They show you the inner workings.
Oh, but not the shaft and...
No, they show you you can actually see it running like a roller coaster.
Oh, okay.
Through the ship and how it changes and stuff. It was actually kind of interesting.
So the plot is the power plant in this observation post has gone out, and there's an explosion.
This is obviously not their ship. It's a different ship.
No.
It's this duck blind up here on a mountain.
So what these
people that don't have warp power, that are only in basically the Bronze Age of their history.
So these anthropologists are hiding in the rocks, lurking upon the population.
Now, were those new visual effects there? I don't remember it being like 3D glittery.
That was just static on the screen more.
Oh. It looked curvy.
It was very magic eye, yeah.
Didn't even need to have a hologram in front of it. You just wall the whole thing
I
up
know.
and, use your advanced sensors to detect what's going on outside.
But they're watching these people because they look a lot like Vulcans, and they want to learn, how Vulcans evolved.
You also noticed there was no glass in that window. The guy just kind of rolled out of it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
what?
somebody's walking by and you sneeze. What the heck? Did that rock just sneeze on me? You just...
Well, there's no glass in the cells in the brig either.
No, but that force field. But
Yeah.
this, the guy just kind of just hopped up and jumped out of it,
Well, we get to see that when one of the Mintakans actually discovers the duck blind. So, it is October 16th. You're getting ready for Halloween. It may or may not be raining. It may be 70 degrees outside. It may be 50 degrees outside. Who knows? But I'm sure you'll have fun. This episode came out in 1989. How old were we then?
7.
7? Okay, cool. I was 10.
18.
18. Nice. What was 18-year-old Bryant doing on Halloween in 1989?
I don't remember.
Huh.
Studying.
Studying, yeah.
Remember
So
what
this
you were
is... Well, I was watching this show. That's what I was doing.
Trying to figure out what I was for Halloween when I was 7.
I was Band-Aid man. I was too lazy to come up with the costume, so I just put a whole bunch of Band-Aids on my bare feet and walked around and went trick-or-treating.
I
Could
think
have been
I was
Die
a
Hard.
Yeah, it could have been... You're right. It could have been Die Hard.
Do you think you were
I
what?
think I was a California raisin. It was a different time.
That's awesome! 7. What grade would I have been in? First grade, I guess. I think I was.
We're
like,
gonna beam
some sort of
into a
fairy.
room where everyone just got electrocuted.
Well, they're grounded.
So these flash effects here actually burned into the film.
Huh.
Not the blue lightning bolts, but that.
Yeah, I watched this on HD. So these two here, it's Ray Wise, who is about to go into Twin Peaks,
Oh.
which would start the next year in 1990, and most popular as a cartoon voice, but also you've seen her face on shows like Louie, is Pamela Adlon, who at this time was called Pamela Siegel. She's the voice of Bobby Hill and the voice of Chucky on Rugrats.
No way.
No. I thought that was what's her face? The person that played Mona on Salute Your Shorts. And now she's dead.
No, you're right. Yeah, she wasn't Chucky. She was one of the twins.
Okay.
Phil and Lil. Yeah.
Okay.
So the Mintakans taking their weather recordings.
Jordy the engineer with no gloves or surge protection, just reaching in there. And, it's okay. I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer.
Kaboom! Commander, I can see without my eyes.
So these two Mintakans saw the lights flashing from the duck blind and are checking it out. Those look like very uncomfortable wool pants.
Well, at least we know ducks still exist this time.
Right?
They probably gave him a whole planet.
Yeah.
That's where you go when you're like in a bad mood but don't want to like have a sex adventure on Rise. That's like, go to the duck planet and bring a bag of bread. Yay! Look at all these ducks! A whole planet of ducks! Yay!
Sasha would be pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I love ducks. So these are filmed here in Vasquez Rocks.
Huh.
Where a lot of Star Trek
Yeah.
is filmed.
Oh, yeah. It's in New Mexico, I think?
Oh.
No, it's just outside of L.A.
Oh, okay, well that makes sense.
But the show Roswell, New Mexico did a lot of shooting right by these rocks.
Yeah.
And guess who did Roswell? That was Jonathan Frakes' series.
I still want to... I don't think... Was it really Jonathan Frakes?
It really was.
He's done a lot of stuff.
I'm going to look that up.
So our big we're not going to explain
Hello there.
why this works thing
Shoot him!
is obviously they don't have a universal translator, but they're able to understand everything that Picard and Co say.
See, I thought universal translators were just on all the planets now.
No, the whole idea here is this planet doesn't know that space travel exists.
But the translators
That's a
in
very foreign concept.
translators in the comm badge.
Yeah.
That's how I understood
Okay,
it. So as long as
right.
you've got one of those,
Yeah,
in
it's
proximity,
not. It doesn't have to do with the ship. It's in the badge, and then they develop even further an implant that everybody has by the Deep Space Nine era.
Huh. Do they not have comm badges in Deep Space Nine?
They do. They just invented something different for show.
Beverly would be able to understand what he was saying to her, but he wouldn't be able to understand what Beverly was saying to him.
Well, well, the way I understand it works is it would translate her voice basically, and like basically I'm talking into a microphone and it Bluetooth speakers it out.
Okay.
That should do it.
There we go. So Geordi's stabilized. So a really cool thing happened is that a Mitakan who has no clue that they are not alone in the universe just saw this rock face open up. People are being beamed in and out, disappearing, shocked by lightning, fell down a cliff, and then his daughter sees her dad just disappear into a puff
Well, they
of
don't even understand
logic.
the concept of a universe.
Yeah, all they know is the sky and the ground. And the sun. They know what the sun is because their job is to measure the sun. Where? That was kind of cool.
Yeah, they get that obviously they understand that their planet is round because of the device they have for measuring the sun.
You increase the levels of tricortisone.
Well, you didn't use the awake hypo spray yet.
And I like this sick bay a lot better than Dr. Pulaski's sick bay. Or
Yes.
Riker was just on a slab in the
I was gonna
middle.
say there isn't a spinning wheel in this one.
Yeah.
Well, Benny has a much better design sense.
They
Dr. Crusher.
looking at it now and relying on my memory, I can't really see too many differences.
Before you start quoting,
Well, you have these bays instead of it used to be just the blacked out windows
Right.
from the observation deck.
And there would be like a big table in the middle that everybody who walked in would
because
go to.
we were responsible for his injuries.
I'm not sure that I concur with that reasoning, Doctor.
Why would he want him to die?
He always says this
Prime
after the
directive.
fact, but you'll notice
Yeah.
that that's not how Picard acts.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's one of those. It's as the manager or the team leader, he's one of those. His job is basically he would have done the same thing, but he has to maintain the standard that no, you did this, and so here are the consequences.
he's got to toe the line of policy.
Yeah.
Only until shit has hit the fan can he say, "Oh, well, we're screwed. We might as well just fix it."
Yeah.
So this is where we start seeing Picard in a new light. And through the eyes of this Pentakan, Picard is the authority figure and starts to confuse him for God because he has the power over life and death. Right now, he believes he's in the afterlife.
Interesting.
So it kind of plays into, and I don't know if this is actually true, but I heard the story of when tall ships first came to places where natives were. They noticed the change in how the water was moving first, and then they would look out and see the shadow, and then have to explain what the shadow was. And this is pretty much that.
Mm-hmm.
It's that he has virtually no context for anything that's going on, and has to use words he knows to explain it.
Yeah.
So, we're just not going to isolate this guy at all.
Right. They didn't think he was going to wake up.
And this is the first of many instances where they have a really hard time dealing with someone who saw something they shouldn't have seen.
I like the idea that because he's not quite in the same spot that he was.
No scorpions.
Let's beam him down
Yeah.
and find a really fuzzy, happy patch of grass where the sun is shining on him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I would think I'd just been in the afterlife too.
How long was she hanging out by that
Yeah,
wall?
right?
It might have all happened in real time. Might have been just a couple of minutes.
Huh.
I mean, the sun's in a kind of a different position.
Well, what I don't understand is that you think they would have tried to wipe his memory before sending him down.
The woman vanished. I was sure you were dead.
They did.
I think I was.
So you're telling me that she was the voice of Tommy?
Or one of the twins, Phil and
Oh,
Lynn.
one of the twins.
And she's the
Okay.
voice of Bobby Hill.
And my wounds were gone.
Wow.
I have been healed.
How is that possible?
Propane
Yeah.
Propane.
and propane accessories.
Beings with great powers. And those beings
I know this actor from somewhere, but I can't
Yeah.
place it.
Oh, you recognize him immediately if you saw him without his makeup on.
He did a Voyager episode too.
Those are just
Oh, I'm not
tales of our old
surprised.
superstition.
Pretty much what he does now in movies is he's like the corrupt senator or like the, the go-between for an arms deal.
Yeah, he's his name is Ray Wise.
Yes.
We must tell the others.
He's in Swamp Thing, RoboCop, Twin Peaks.
Yeah, he was Dr. Alec Holland in Swamp Thing. I've seen him in real life too. I went to a Twin Peaks festival at the what is it? Seattle Art Museum.
Hey,
He's a very friendly fellow.
Nice. He's in 24 too.
Underground rivers and caverns. And the rock strata contains a high concentration.
Oh, Data, stop oversharing.
Yeah.
We're just gonna just keep talking until we tell you to shut up. Oh, hey, look, they let him finish.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, they need the information.
No, I bet you in between season 2 and season 3, Data was explaining and they told him to shut up and Data said, "Excuse me, sir, but I would have finished in 10.3 seconds had
Yeah.
you not interrupted me."
No, they would have
Now we're
done
here at 30.7 down the road.
I have a suggestion.
is, he and Guinan have probably played a lot with, well, they asked me about the planet, and I started describing, the rocks and the water, and she's like, no, they want to know, what it's like, how it makes you feel, what kind of people are there.
So this is very interesting. So Deanna and Riker have decided to beam down dressed as Mintakins. I love his lederhosen that he's wearing there in his tall cowboy
Oh, he's
boots.
so, the Jolly Green Giant's shorter brother.
He just needs suspenders and an accordion, and he is ready for
This might be
October.
where they got the idea to do the Robin Hood episode of this.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
But the problem is that they don't really have global travel yet, so they're going to be not recognized pretty quickly.
Not precisely. More like.
So, let me get this straight. You two just walked in, the nearest town is 600 miles away, and all you had was that one bedroll, and you guys aren't even sweaty, stinky. You're not road rough.
You're traders with nothing to trade.
Mhm. Well, that could be her wears, those pelts.
And their whole civilization is basically like a shed and a gully. Is all you see here.
Yeah.
But they do explain this. There was a really terrible flood, and they lost a lot of their people, which is why this idea that Picard is a god and can revive people is such a huge deal, because this is a community in grief.
Yeah, they're still suffering, obviously, from that traumatic event. When I watched this the first time, I had assumed that it was a subterranean city.
I can see that. It's like
And-
how I thought that episode where Data finds a little girl that she literally lived inside that rock.
Yeah.
Isn't that Spock's father?
No, I just
Oh,
watched
the old man there?
Yeah.
Nope.
Mark Leonard.
Yeah. We do get to see Mark Leonard, though, eventually.
His memories in time.
What's interesting is that this society has just
All this talk
is a few generations past believing in gods, and this guy, the old man, kind of remembers about it. And yeah, see, they don't believe in astrology anymore.
Well, that's it. They're comparing, they're pulling within their cultural experience to come up with answers to things they can't explain.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
Well, this goes into the whole Star Trek is anti-religion and pro-science.
I don't think that's true at all. We got to see on Discovery this year that Pike was raised religious, that his father was like a Luddite that believed in the Bible, and we saw them go to a community that had like a Christian church in it. What they've done is that people that are like diehard true believers have isolated societies on other planets now.
It has to be Palmer.
They probably trade with each other, and
Remarkable.
which I mean, unfortunately, when you think about it, it does set a dangerous precedent because they could easily find war with somebody that doesn't believe what they believe.
Exactly. And with Star Trek being in the culture of closed ports and not open ports, that's an opportunity for those stereotypes to build quickly
Yeah.
and unchecked.
I mean, they say that they don't believe, the Federation doesn't believe in capitalism anymore, which is why they hate the Ferengi.
Yeah.
Picard, you must beam Palmer aboard immediately.
Palmer! You gotta get Palmer on the ship, Picard. Hey, Palmer, I'm sorry, this Picard guy ain't gonna let you get on the ship.
You gotta get back to
Freaking
Boston.
Picard.
Number one, is there any chance?
Barely recognized Troy there.
We can try.
The eyebrows.
She makes a good Romulan.
Huh.
You're endangering Palmer with this delay. I'm aware of that.
Palmer's in danger. The freaking townies are gonna tear him apart.
Hope that you will uphold the time directive.
They're gonna get out there at night on their bikes, waving their chains around.
Ringo and I were hunting on the third ridge.
He's a scientist. He doesn't know how to fight.
He looks really alien right there with the burn makeup and the jumpsuit.
Picard has many servants.
I wonder if they deliberately tried to make him look like a gray without being gray.
Huh.
You know, the gray is the gray alien with
Yeah.
the big eyes and the pale skin.
Perhaps he ran away.
Or he failed the Picard somehow and was hiding from him.
We should bind him in case he wakes and
Put the
tries to
Picard.
escape.
Yeah, all of their stuff about gods is like negative. It's like who to punish, who to tie up,
I disagree. All the evidence.
which is a shame because she's the leader.
Right.
And it's like this is just a guy kind of ranting. But again, we were kind of talking about this. It's like giving the floor to people that don't necessarily deserve the floor. But there's a level of he just lost his wife. He's gone. Something happened to him,
He can provide
and he
gentle
wants to talk about it.
plentiful hunting.
Well, I think what's really frustrating to the crowd here is that Palmer is the first tangible evidence of something that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They've got proof right there. Alien.
We will save Palmer for the Picard.
So did you see this when it actually aired for the first time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you really liked it back then? the
Loved
episode?
it.
Huh.
Loved it.
I can't believe they're using the old "look over here."
How did it work?
We call it the Deanna Troi maneuver.
Well, it may have never been heard about on that planet.
Everybody, come quick! Something shiny. Now let's all walk single file.
Where'd they get their bows and arrows all of a sudden? That's
Well, he's like a designated hunter, so he's always kind of got it with him. But
Please do. You need a knot that will tighten.
I'm really surprised that Riker, a guy who lives in space, can out-knot a guy who
Probably.
lives off the land for most of his life.
He might have lived off the land in Alaska when his dad left him.
Oh, right. Right after that tragic Parisi Squares game. Or whatever the Ambujitsu.
yeah, he's just sitting there. They laughed at me in the academy, not tying class. Look at me now.
Makes you figure that
There is some good compassion there. Notice that Riker's apologizing.
Yeah. What I would have done though, if I were Riker, is I would have just tied him up, blindfolded him, and then transported out there.
Yeah.
Why did they gag him instead of blindfolding?
So he couldn't yell out saying, "Hey, stop following that lady and come back here and shoot this guy." No, you gotta gag him.
Oh.
Aw.
There's some kind of regulation that says you
You
can't
felt
tie
that.
people up without gagging them. It's kind of standard. There you go. Fireman's
Because-
chair.
Subsection 27 of the Prime Directive.
Riker, stop!
She says Riker, honey.
Audie!
Almost sounds like she's saying Roker.
I'm surprised Riker even used his real name.
I know that he should have called himself Roker. My name is
Al.
Roker, and this is Mrs. Tro.
Lee Lemon.
I mean, why would if you think about that? So those are such obscure names. You know that the people are gonna remember them. So like you come back in 100
That's
years,
true.
and there's gonna be like a Riker on every block, because it's just one of those unique names that you remember. You're giving birth to your Mintakan baby. Well, I heard this strange name called Riker. What
Nice compound bow.
I was going to say, they're coming out of the Bronze era and they're using compound bows and they've clearly got a pulley system on there. And
beautiful bird shot there, going up and over. Yeah, they had to hide the fact that there was carbon fiber, so they wrapped it in sinew and leather. It's a neat little
and here I go
there.
on Heidi Riker.
yeah,
Beam. Now, quick.
Go!
William squeeze into any small spot, Riker.
So, is the transporter noise like a noise that you actually hear when this happens?
I think it's an effect, just like in space when you hear them warping.
Okay.
And
I think you can hear it. Because there's an episode of Deep Space Nine where the Brunt beams into Quark's closet, and Quark can hear it and opens the door, and...
oh, okay.
Hey, what are you doing in here?
Allie, find Riker and Palmer.
So yeah, let's just leave Troy here.
Palmer from us.
We did not take Palmer. We said it.
And I was like, who's this we? I'm standing right next to you the whole time.
Mr. Data, this is an incredibly dull soap opera.
All she had to do was saying, I don't know what that guy was thinking.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
totally nuts. I met him 20 miles ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Weren't there stories about the Overseer destroying those who offended him?
Stories, nothing more.
Nico,
Yeah.
we'll get Palmer back.
Well,
Quit going like to the most crazy with all of the stuff with the
Yeah.
gods.
They blame us for letting Palmer escape.
but he's convinced that there's a higher power at play, and he wants to be on the right side of that power.
Let the Overseer know.
So there's a lot of fear behind his decision making.
So there's no hallucinogenic compounds on this planet whatsoever, huh?
Yeah.
You would have us harm her.
He really wants to hurt Troy.
If it will hold off the Picard's anger. Yes. I've seen
That's
how
an
powerful
interesting
he is.
psychological thing. I'm kind of sorry my dad isn't here for that. The deliberately injuring people because, you know, your religion supposedly told you to. When my father was younger than 5, they used to hit him if he wasn't kneeling well enough, correctly enough for family prayer.
What?
Yeah, they would take a stick and hit him on his bare feet.
Oh my goodness.
But what they never establish here is that the religion around that they created says you need to punish people with physical violence. He just says, well, Picard's angry, so this is a whole new god to them. So it's like they just assume that we have to hurt people as part of the, you know, it's not like the Picard has decreed that all punishments must be corporal. But no, he just said, well, what if we just hurt her? I mean, that's what he said. He seems really bent on hurting some, you know, causing physical harm will somehow please this new god, even though there's no evidence whatsoever that shows. You know, it's not like when he saw Picard in the sickbay, he walked over there and slapped Crusher for bringing the guy up there. You know, what makes you think this guy, you know, is all about violence? Just automatically.
Know what the Overseer expects of them.
There has to be procedures for when you make botches. You just, okay, sorry guys, we don't get let you develop naturally. Welcome to the Federation. Here's your phaser.
Kirk would have just walked in there and have been like, listen, I come from a starship. I'm not a god, and cut his arm open. I bleed like you. But again, they just lost a bunch of people. Ray Wise saw what appeared to be a revival of a dead person. The reason that they're clinging to this is because they're hoping they can get their community back with this guy's help by making him happy. Yeah, they're looking at doing some pretty crazy things.
Already he's looking at it from a selfish point of view.
That's like, what if you really believed that everything that you did on Earth was not ultimately important because you were going to, a separate reality when you died.
Tell me about this.
I'd be kind of terrified about being micromanaged or not micromanaged if I realized that turning left down a street instead of right would send me to hell or prevent my dead spouse from coming back from death.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't understand how people can live and know that micromanagement on that level is okay.
I mean, the thing is, most adults that are religious like that make exceptions. It's the children that suffer in those instances.
But those
They don't know how to do
children,
that.
but those children grow up and become adults.
Right.
And what throws me off is that the leader here, the woman in the green walking up the stairs right now, she's pretty fair-minded.
Yeah.
Whereas the gentleman, Rico is his name. He just seems like he's fear-driven the whole time. There is no sense.
He wants
reason.
to believe there's a God more than she does, because if there is a God that can do all this stuff, then we'll find. Yeah, he can get his dead wife back.
Okay.
So he's really super motivated to want to believe this. She's more. She doesn't really have any. Either way, it's one of those. Well, I've
What's
seen
good
things
for
I
the
can't
community?
explain, so I'm willing to accept there's something out there yet. I don't know what it is, but he's. Yeah, and again, it's one of those things. He really wants it to be true, because if it is,
So now Picard's made the decision to beam this leader aboard and make first contact.
Scott Gardner pointed out, like, what if she was going to the bathroom? That's the reason she walked away from the compound.
Yep. My name.
The cold-blooded thing to do here, and I'll be the one to say it, is if you've contaminated this village and not that village, is you sterilize the village.
Yeah.
It's a handful of 10, 12 people there. Honestly, if it's that kind of thing, you wipe out the village, make it look like a rock slide or some other natural disaster, and you cover your tracks. I mean, that's incredibly cold-blooded, but
So is that why the dinosaurs were wiped out by
It is
Peter?
considering. I mean, imagine what the scientists observing them would think, because they've seen all of the stuff that's happened. And that guy, the scientist, he should be right next to Picard right now, the anthropologist.
Yeah, he's the expert on the culture.
But he's contaminated himself. He's no remember his is like, no, you have to establish yourself as a god. You have to do this so we can get our friend back. And so he's kind of, if he was true to his profession, he'd be like, no, you cannot show yourself to this woman because you're just going to make it even. Now she can put physical form to this god. Before it's just, well, that guy over there keeps saying there's a god. Some weird shit happened, but now she's actually seen it. So
This makes me think, though, that before even setting up the duck blind, someone should have half-assed put together a 3-ring binder with a manual inside that says what to do if we get discovered.
It seems like they're just glossing over the prime directive. I mean, it should have a whole subset of directions. If this happens, you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because make it black and white.
That's there's another big difference between Kirk and Picard. There is when she says that the Enterprise is a wondrous place. Picard's just like, no, yes, it's wondrous. Kirk would have been like, yeah, it's great. It's like the most amazing thing that exists, and I'm going to show you why. But it was built by men.
Yep. I think this would have been a more interesting episode if they did try to sterilize the village and then failed at their attempt and then had to talk their way out of it.
Yeah, this would have been if you had the head anthropologist and said that's our protocol is if the contamination reaches this level and the only way to contain it is to do this. So he's the one who's like, yeah, he's pushing real hard to have it, and Picard's like, no, there has to be another way.
All of a sudden, I'm thinking of Gul Dukat in the Cult of the Paul race with those little pills that made you disintegrate into a pile of dust.
Essentially, yeah, but they could destroy that village very easily, make it look like a natural rock slide.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have there's any number of things you could do that could cover your tracks.
Here Picard is trying to explain to her anthropology. He's like, okay, you used to live in caves, now you don't, you live in freestanding structures. If the cave dwellers saw you living in those structures, would they not also think that you were gods?
Just as one time.
So he's trying to logic the situation.
Yes.
Yeah, just like that book from decades ago, Cherry to the Gods. It's one of those. Our technology seems like, we seem like gods to you because we are more advanced. But we're not. We're more advanced.
Who taught their children?
All of a sudden, I'm reminded of a Yankee in King Arthur's court.
Similar concept, yeah.
Well, in that one, he used the technology for his own personal
said
gain.
Said it was magic. I mean, he totally broke the Prime directives. He set up telegraphs and a telephone system, and basically had a legion. He had his own newsboy legion.
Yeah. Oh, he was training armies and had taken over the land.
She cannot kill a hornbuck.
But it was an interesting. That book was really interesting because it really predicted the First World War and how it would be fought with the trenches and everything.
I didn't even
and how
thought
many
about
people
that.
would die with all the use of explosives. It's a pretty interesting historical document. I only just read that for the first time last year.
Oh yeah, it's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Who's authored that? Samuel Clemens?
Mark Twain, yeah.
Yeah.
Who Picard is going to meet here in another season.
Oh no, we're coming up to that episode.
Yeah.
I liked that episode.
Oh,
It
me
was
too,
playful.
Times
It was playful.
It was more than just playful. When we get to that, I'm gonna give it a solid good rating.
My people once lived in caves.
So this conversation is still happening. Now Picard is explaining that we used to live in caves.
We used to drink wine from boxes. Then we evolved.
It was medicinal wine from a teaspoon and then beer from a bottle.
Have a marshmallow.
And the next thing you know, the River City youth began frittering.
Perhaps one day my people will travel above the skies.
But not you. Eject.
Yeah.
Ah!
With faith, miracles are possible.
Yeah.
Walk home.
Yeah. Oh, so you want to travel the skies? Stand a little closer to that window.
It must be a warning.
See, now what they did with Worf's brother would have been more appropriate here. You beam some kind of gas device, knock everybody out, beam them to the holodeck where you can play out your rescue scenario, knock them out again, beam them back down.
The overseer is responsible for this storm. Will he also send floods? My wife died in last year's floods. Will we all die now?
I love that we're hearing sheep in the
We must try
background.
nourishing.
Oh yeah,
Saying this,
where are the
yeah.
sheep?
Give him the idea right there. Picard, there you go. We need a flood immediately.
Yep.
But that's the problem, is it's like that just makes him seem more like a god to do stuff like that.
So I guess it's not subterranean because we're seeing the lightning flashes.
Don't touch the models.
Yeah.
It's like just... It took us 9 shots to do this without a stagehand running on, just going...
Oh, the fish is on cue.
Is that a
You've
blessing?
shown me such generosity. I wish my people could share it.
Yeah, she basically thinks that she's
6 men
getting some kind of a benediction from their god.
Yeah, she
All
hasn't
of them children.
grasped it. She's just
Well, she wants to benefit from the technology, and she doesn't understand the limits of the technology. She just thinks, "Oh, okay, you're mortal men that built
Did I
magic,
offend you?
and now you
Should
can
I
be
have
immortal."
the death of Troy?
I just refuse to believe that this woman does not have the emotional intelligence to understand the anger-power relationship and how false it is. But I like the movie's about to play. They're going to go down to sickbay and watch someone die.
Well, she's kind of the interim leader.
Who's the real leader?
The real leader is the daughter. She was the daughter of the previous leader who died. And
Oh!
It passed from woman to woman.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, so it's
Yeah.
a matriarchy.
Yes. So
So why is he in charge?
he's not.
he's just playing everybody's fears. He's the loudmouth.
We must do as Picard wishes.
When the leader's not there, he's the one who grabbed everybody's. He's the, look at me.
We should. There's actually a really good, really short William Shatner movie from right before Star Trek came on, where he comes to town and starts a race war. It's probably
What?
65 minutes long. It is so good. It's called either the Stranger or the Outsider.
Huh.
He finds out about a school that's about to integrate and just gets this white mob to like attack this black kid. It's really good.
Oh
It's
my
a
god.
Roger Corman movie.
So what's the result of the film?
Somebody makes a speech about how evil William Shatner is, and they run him out of town.
Good. I was like, what kind of movie is this, man?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, there she goes. So I don't understand. Oh, that was the anthropologist, and his fellow anthropologist
His wife.
is about to die.
His wife.
See, first time I watched this, I thought it was just some random old person on the ship.
No,
He's
they're
passing away.
No, he's going to bring in this woman to show them that they can't save everybody.
Yeah, and that, but you don't see Crusher really try. I mean, she goes into cardiac arrest, and the Crusher is like, "Well, no, sorry."
Because it's like she's not unresponsive. She's very aware, and again, that there's no reason for the Mentok woman to think that this isn't just arbitrary. Like, that they didn't just kill a person for theater to make them think that they can't resurrect someone.
Or maybe they did.
Yeah, but it's like you've seen other, like, if it were a member of the bridge crew, Crusher would be like, "No, we're gonna keep shocking. Give me more than and stuff like that. Now we're gonna do this thing where we put the thing on their forehead and it does so." Here she just goes, "Nope, sorry,
Well,
didn't pass the poke test."
easy.
Oh, she's poking her.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, easy answer to this. She had a DNR. So if that happens to me, don't do anything.
Yep.
Have those now. It's like, I'm this old already. If I have an attack like that, I'm just gonna let nature take its course. Of course, then, to Matt's argument, when it happens to Worf, everybody's like, "No,
I know.
you do not have the right to make that decision."
I was just saying, because they really, really got into that about the whole, "No, we're gonna force this," and
They're just as immortal as you are.
Let's watch a movie called Superman.
And he could have done the same thing on the holodeck. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know what a holodeck is. He could have walked up and just holodeck created somebody, and he just could have walked up and stabbed that person and be like, "See,
But
they
that
die
was-
as a man." And
Again, made her think he was this overseer character.
no, but I mean, he could have
Yeah.
physically walked up with a knife,
But then that's him exerting power.
Regardless.
or just had somebody else do it. It just seems weird that you would bring.
I love how he's just pointing this arrow at everybody downrange.
Including his daughter.
Yeah.
and it's a blunt-headed arrow too.
Trying to determine what he wants.
He's basically holding a practice arrow.
I love Troy's logic there. That's the problem with having a god, is trying to figure out what he wants.
Or she.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines from Doctor Who from the Peter Capaldi era, where he was on with this group of people whose god turned up to punish them, and he's like, "Nope. What's one thing a god never does? Show up."
There he is.
But Picard, the overseer.
Troy's like, "Oh, thank God."
No, Nico.
She wasn't in any real danger.
There's no
Her daughter
reason-
was
has
standing
no-
right there.
Again, there's no reason for Picard to know who he is, so he just saw me and knew my name, and held me like a child.
I am your servant.
Get up, dumbass.
Well, that's not. She's like, "Well, technically, he's my servant, but
Master Hobbit, you bow to no one.
I've seen how they live and how they die. When death takes one of their loved ones, they are as helpless as we are.
Did they show him?
Especially when Crusher's in charge of medicine."
That'd be funny if they showed the tape of Denise Crosby dying.
Knowledge that we lack. They're able
Yeah, that would be weird because it would be more of a whole, and then she just dies.
Oh,
It wasn't a bloody or violent death. It was just,
You can bring back
"Oh,
my wife to me.
yeah,
but I'm Armis, so I can kill you with a poke."
Why?
yeah. Armis was magic.
Have I failed you in some way?
Oh, this guy just doesn't get it.
Well, then I beg you, bring her back to me.
Play the tape of those two Klingons from the first season when Worf shoots them and they fall through the engineering decks and just shatter onto the warp core. That was a violent death.
Now, the first thing that any good negotiator would do in this situation is, let's take that bow and arrow away from you, and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
You believe I'm all powerful?
Oh, he's about to get shot.
However,
Mr.
This is hardly different from Christ proving to Thomas that he was still alive. It's still stuff
Really?
that God would do. Yeah.
But if the only proof you will believe is my death,
Here comes the Shakespearean acting right here.
then shoot.
No, don't do it. I love how he just shoots an arrow and the lady's right there. It kills me. Well, it killed him too.
Now we'll have a game of lawn darts.
They could have just cut his hand.
I am not a god nor a changeling.
You made me bleed my own blood.
Supplemental. Dr. Crusher has repaired my injury
With their usual skill.
Yeah, just
I love
I
how
was going to have a sling on.
I was gonna say, yeah, your usual skill. You can repair Worf's spine, but you can't figure out how to get this guy's,
This shot was framed really cool with them standing on the two sides of the thing, almost like they're in a fisheye lens.
Yeah,
What is that?
they might have been.
Come, gather round in a semicircle so I can address you like a...
To study you. To understand your ways. Please continue, Mr. LaForge.
Now I wonder how they put that in without the Mintakans knowing.
Why do people so advanced want to learn about us?
You were once as you are now. To study you is to understand ourselves.
Why do you have to hide yourself from us?
So many unanswered questions here. So the Federation loves to spy on pre-warp civilizations. I can think of at least about 5 or 6 where it just goes horribly wrong in this series alone.
Yeah.
I wish there was some carryover continuity. So like by the 7th time the 7th season rolls around and Picard says, "Oh, we got a Prime Directive issue. I know exactly what to do." He just pulls out a little Rolodex of things not to do.
Directive 9. We destroy the village to save it.
You have taught us there is nothing beyond our reach.
Not even the stars.
The actor's Leland Palmer from
Twin Peaks.
From Twin Peaks.
Yes.
They should end this episode with Twin Peaks music.
Ah.
Doom doom.
Or just have him get up into Picard's face like, "You can go back to Cheyenne, Wyoming."
Good journeys, Picard. Remember my people.
This is such a meta episode.
Do you imagine if they came across a Vulcan on the ship?
Oh my gosh.
That would just open up a whole other can of worms. You'd imagine at that point, like,
Ensign Soulbox, stay in your corners.
yeah, find the corners.
That's the end.
Yeah, there it is. I really enjoyed this episode because it brought up a lot of questions of the nature of religion and trying to guess what other people want. And honestly, it was a little basic, philosophy for first graders. But I think it drove the point home that you have to use skills of observation and then direct communication to work things out.
Yeah, and first graders still need philosophy. I give it 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5 duck blinds? Yes. I'll have to give it a 5 out of 5 as well. How about you?
I'm gonna give it a 3.
3? And why is that?
There's just some holes and things, like I'm always a nitpicker. Like why is Picard in a sling? It's such a basic. I mean, it's not even a.
Yeah, she could have just scanned something over her shoulder.
Yeah, I mean,
and
they can repair much more serious injuries.
And it's an artificial heart to boot, so.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just there was a lot of inconsistencies. Like you said, we're gonna lead him on a chase so I can pick Palmer up and carry him 30 yards from the village.
Up a flight of stairs,
and then down a flight and across a bridge. It's like, no, just
over the river, through the
Troy
woods.
can just go, everybody over here as quickly as possible, and then knock the guy out.
Woman.
Hey, what's that?
Pretty much. There's a lot of things they can do. That duck blind. There's no backup system. All Geordi did was change the battery.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's no backup in case the hologram fails. There's no shrouding over it already or something. It just it appears here. We're all good.
The only thing that really makes this episode lazy, actually I'm going to kind of dial back the score a bit, is when you're bringing up nitpicking, all the professionals, quote-unquote professionals, with the exception of Picard, Deanna, and Riker, fall to their emotions. So, like, the anthropologist is like, no, you should play God. Save this person.
Yeah.
And
Play God so it gets my friend back.
And they build up the Mintakans as these really smart, kind of ahead of their time. They're stuck with bad technology, but they can figure stuff out people. And then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, they are worshipping some new mysterious god and not using their culture of science and direct observation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's maybe not really... the Mintakans didn't play to what they build themselves as. Okay. How about you, Bryant?
4.5 duck blinds. I just think that they'd have the prime directive just flushed out. There'd be the big set of 10 binders. Okay, we're in this situation. Go to binder 3, second tab, and it'll tell us what to do. Which it really should be,
I mean, Janeway tells Carrie Kim in that episode there's like a physical book on regulations about having sex with aliens that's two volumes long. That's a physical book. So
it's because nobody's read it. It's out of print.
You would think that, so you would think that they would be able to say,
and you
the prime directive manual, and it is actually a manual you have to flip through.
Yeah, and you'd think that even if it wasn't, you'd think they'd at least be like, well, we need to consult it and look. Like they did in the in Ensigns of Command when they're reading through that legal document and they're, all right, we got 3 of our officers combing pages. They didn't even crack open a pad and say, well, what is the prime directive? Well,
wow.
I think it's going to be this. Nobody even bothered to say, well, okay, is there a contingency for this? Let's see here. If we accidentally do this, if we accidentally poison these guys, if I drop a rock out of... No. All right, here we go. Mechanical failures. What do we do with the holoprojector? Yeah, then no one even bothered to look. They're all just... Literally, and Picard doesn't have to ask the Admiralty.
Yeah, call up on the subspace phone and call the expert.
Yeah, hey man, kind of stepped in it here. Got 2 of my guys, duck blind exposed. Got one of them here, right? Again.
Well, that's exactly what they did in Orville. Is that one of their officers would get in trouble on the planet. They called the Admiralty, and the Admiralty said, "You guys toast.
Yeah,
just like let them die."
In Star Trek, it's like an auto dial thing, like an ethics line at a workplace.
You violated the prime directive.
Yeah.
Press 1. You have an alien who had sex with an alien and need to order another copy of the manual.
Yeah.
Press 2.
Is your question about the prime directive hypothetical? Press 1. Are you actually considering violating the prime directive? Press 2. You press it. It's like Starfleet command.
Yeah. So. 2 things would have made this really interesting. The first is, what if they had a JAG on board that was looking for a loophole? It's like, okay, because this happened, you won't get in trouble if we do that.
A ship that size, they would have one.
Yeah. And the second thing that has always bothered me about Star Trek, everybody gets a free pass. There are no consequences for your behavior.
Oh yeah, in the real military, in the real military, they court-martial you if you show up with the wrong hairstyle. I mean,
Tom Paris. He went down a rank. He went down a rank for doing something.
But Voyager would be different because the Voyager is a ship that's cut off from the basic command structure. They mentioned that earlier when they're talking about the Maquis too. They say, "Well, I can't just throw everybody in the brig for the next 90 years. We need them, and I can't just imprison them. It's not like we have a judge, and you can captain's mast, so you hold a trial on the ship for certain things, but at some point,
Captain Queen would have thrown everybody in the brig for 90 years.
Yeah, but there's things, but for here, they would have a ship's JAG on board, and there would be consequences after this. If anything, at the end, you'd have the Admiral on the view screen saying, "So let me get this straight. You violated this section, yeah. I'm going to see you at the nearest starbase. We've got a lot to talk about."
That we now know that from Discovery, that's not quite how they do it. They have, the inquiry after the fact, and then have the Admiral after, everybody's been interviewed by all of his people, then the Admiral will make his determination.
Yeah, but at least they showed the follow-up on it. It's like, so let me get this straight, Chip.
So sorry.
Destroy the covert thing,
So sorry, Brian. I know I did cut you off mid-sentence, but in case you weren't.
No, I was dead.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we have come to the end of another exciting episode.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Why am I interviewing you guys?
So you're the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek
Hi,
Next
I'm
Generation?
the guest.
So, Sasha, what is Star Trek Next Generation?
Seek us out at Next Generation's First Generation at iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Music credits include Electric Car by Poddington Bear, Broke for Free, As Colorful as Ever, The Garden State by Audio Binger, Snake Attack Dub by Forzan Roots, Dream of Four Kingdoms by Nebuchadnezzars, audio engineering by Sascha Shouties. Chief Meme Maker and episode cover credit goes to Matthew Kirshner. Logo and graphic art design credit goes to David Clawwitter. And special thanks to Patrick Delmore for working with other podcasts to make sure the good word gets out.
Do you have a podcast that you think people should be listening to? Send us your promos and we'll play them on the show. If you'd like to email the show, you can email us at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. I've been Patrick Delmore.
And this is Sascha Shouties. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Good night.